it's good to be here. I'm not going to say it's good to be here until I find out whether I've got anything more than a desk. So I'm standing in the queue, hoping to get a room that's got a computer terminal as well, which might be a bit of an enthusiastic hope. It's strange. You hope you're going to do it all your life, and then the nearer you get to it, the less exciting it is, really, just because you just have to think of the practicalities. And I'm just concerned that I'm late for a meeting at the moment, trying to get accommodation. It's taking longer. And so, you know, I haven't really had that overwhelming sense of excitement. I'm sure I will. I'm sure it's going to come any minute now.
Hello, Mr. Brendan. Welcome to the reception area. Very nice to meet you at Westminster, and I hope we can give you some useful information now for your first day here.
I'm sure you'll be able to.
I'd like, if I may, to introduce you to the Sergeant at Arms, Peter Jennings himself.
Oh, excellent.
And then we'll show you around the reception area.
Thank you very much.
It's somewhat exciting, but also a little bit of trepidation, of course, and it's all a bit confusing. I'm not quite sure what I'm going to find inside. I think finding my way around is going to be quite a job, and actually learning where I can and cannot go and what I can and cannot do.
Well, the most important thing, first of all, was to sort out the office in the constituency, because I'd always promised the electorate that that's what I would keep. And so I spent Tuesday sorting out who I was going to have working there, what kind of work they would be doing, the organisation of that office. I'm not going to keep a secretary here because I don't really want somebody in London trying to sort out problems in the Forest of Dean. I don't think they would have the local knowledge, and I don't think that's the best way to approach it.
You need a desk, obviously.
Yes, please.
Have you got a secretary?
Not yet, no. I'm in the process of interviewing for a secretary.
There are a lot of secretaries looking for jobs.
Yes.
And a lot of very experienced, good ones.
Yes, yes.
I'm only the second black woman ever elected to Parliament, so if you're different, you stand out. But I think I'm probably the only MP that's ever listened to Jungle who's gone to Parliament.
We're looking for file 494.
I don't have an office, and I've been told I'm only getting a locker for at least 2 weeks, possibly a month. Because apparently all the MPs that are moving out didn't realise they were, as we know, otherwise we wouldn't have had a landslide, so...
Hooray, it exists.
So this is it. So apparently I don't get an office for 2 weeks.
You're a member of Parliament, but you've got a locker.
Well, it's absolutely outrageous. I've got so much that has to be done, and I haven't got any means of doing it. I haven't even got access to a desk, literally not even a desk. So it's not good. The Mother of Parliament is not doing very well at the moment.
Being a Member of Parliament means taking part in archaic rituals, the first of which is swearing an oath of allegiance to the monarch.
There are 650, 60 of us do this process, and although it's quite a quick ceremony for each one of us, there's a lot of us to be done. There's a mythology about that. Somebody said to me, well, you need to stand at the front and really elbow your way. And I thought, oh, well, you mean they're not going to do it alphabetically or by constituency? No, you have to stand at the sort of doors and elbow your way to the front, and then the speaker will indicate that you're to come forward. And so those of us that are smaller or with less sharp elbows will be coming back tomorrow or the day after. Crazy.
Now I'm actually going to the fees office, and I'm taking my 2 parliamentary assistants with me, and hopefully I'm going to actually get on the payroll, and more importantly, hopefully they're going to get on the payroll, because we've got to talk about hours, we've got to talk about job share, because in fact that's what they're doing. They're one full-time person, but I'm absolutely delighted to get this meeting out of the way now on like day 3, because I know some people really have got to wait for weeks and weeks, so it's good luck, really.
The salary is £43,860 per annum with effect from the 2nd of May. The office cost allowance maximum is £47,568 per annum. Right. And from that you must defray your staff costs, any leasing costs, any other incidental costs, surgery costs. So if, for example, you have 2 staff, which is, say, 27,000, including national insurance employers, from the 47, that leaves you just over 20,000. You're then going to have your lease, office equipment, other surgery costs, you're going to have advertising, work in the constituency, costs of telephone, and you're still going to have heating, lighting, you're still going to have cleaning. And that should see you through the first year.
Right.
And then I'll put you for the next year.
Right. It's amazing how quickly it goes, isn't it? You think £47,000.
Well, only when you enjoyed yourself, you say.
I don't see myself as a politician, though my family laugh and jeer at me and say, you're always behaving like a politician. I hope that the change that we will see here in this Parliament is that we are more getting on with the job, rather than sort of mealy-mouthed and weasel words. I think there is a real change with the large Labour majority we've got now and the great influx of women, that, you know, we want things done, and debating in the chamber will not be the highest priority.
Even among women MPs, political ambition is never far from the surface. A top priority for many is to get noticed.
This place, I think, is very competitive at all sorts of levels. I would like to see that I do the job well, and that people are aware of the fact that I'm doing the job well, because I'd like them to be re-elected. There may be some, of course, that are ambitious for jobs within government, and there are people wanting to move up the greasy pole, as Tony Blair calls it.
But, for example, I thought it'd be a good idea to actually arrange a meeting with the editor of my local daily newspaper in the constituency, you know, to put things on a more formal basis, and, you know, hopefully to carry on the excellent relationship we've had so far. Now, he suggested lunch. Now, if I accept a lunch from him, is that sleaze?
No. Well, as long as you do not think that you're being bought. I know everybody is saying there's no such thing as a free lunch.
No, I mean,
at the same time,
if you're a teacher or a banker or a lawyer, you do A, B and C, and you will go up the ladder, or stay the same, or down the ladder, but really it's sort of up to you. There isn't anything like that here. There is absolutely no career structure. In a way, your own self-employed business of pushing yourself, self-promotion, questioning here, debate there, better do this, better not do that. Is so-and-so a friend or an enemy? And I'm not only talking about the opposition. Let's take national newspaper editors.
Yes.
They want to talk to me on something that's going on, and they say, we'll take you to such and such restaurant and we'll pick up the tab. Again, is that sleaze if I accept that?
The media, in my experience, you have to watch. They know what they're going to say, they write what they're going to say, and they misrepresent you if you're not careful.
So I do not feed with the Nationals.
That's right.
Right, so that's great. So I'm going to write that down,
Well, you can
actually.
write that down, and I'll let you say that, because I...
Do not feed with the Nationals. Fine.
Internationals are different.
And internationals.
Two weeks after the election, and the new MPs get their first taste of Westminster pomp and ceremony.
And the straight owning of Parliament is a bit like our speech day. You know, it's the day that we're all a bit on parade and all a bit dressed up, and in many ways doesn't reflect the real workings of Parliament, but is the day that you have when you're on show. And you look at this unbelievable sight of men and women in ermine and red sitting on great big red cushions, and women with tiaras and diamond necklaces and taffeta ball gowns. And this is 11:30 in the morning.
Madam Speaker, the Queen commands this honourable House to attend Her Majesty immediately in the House of Peers.
It is a little odd, though, that the elected representatives of the people, we're sort of fetched from the Commons to the Lords.
My Lords and members of the House of Commons, my government intends to govern for the benefit of the whole nation.
And then she reads the gracious speech. And this is to tell the people what the government's proposals are for the next 15 months. But you're looking at this assembled group of people, you think, this isn't the people of Britain. This is a very small, archaic, privileged group. It is a most bizarre situation. If you looked at it closely, you'd think we have to reform the House of Lords. This is nonsense. Most peculiar.
Thank you. Next. Thank you. Next.
May I?
Welcome to the Swiss Air team. Next.
Still without an office, Helen Brinton is keen to make her mark in the chamber.
Right, this is your first printed notice of questions.
Wow, oh, brilliant. Oh, gosh.
Notice
Look
of
at
questions
it.
to be answered for oral answer if it's got a star.
Indicates a question which was included in the random selection process. Now, the way that works, isn't it? You've got to get your question into the table office, I think it's called.
Yes,
Trying to all the lingo.
Yes, we
yeah.
had this huge panic yesterday because questions for oral answer must be in by 5 o'clock on that day.
I think I'm the only new MP here. Yes, it says Ms. Oh, you see, they've done it again. Ms. rather than Mrs.
You'll have to tell them as well.
Well,
won't
yes,
you?
I will have to tell them. Will I have to speak on this? I mean, will I have to say... I've been looking up the sort of rules and procedure, and I think I say something like I stand up and say, Madam Speaker. Let's rehearse it.
Right.
I stand up, you know, here I am, you know, I'm the new MP of Peterborough.
Yes.
Right, Madam Speaker, I refer you to question 34.
Right.
Right.
Yes.
Now you're Frank Dobson here.
Right.
And
yes.
Yeah, okay, you be Frank.
Yes.
Right. And say something nice. I mean, say that we're going to have the hospital.
Yes.
Right.
I am pleased to announce that that the future of the new Peterborough Hospital is under review, and I expect to reach a decision in a matter of months.
Great. My goodness. Frank needs to be worried.
That's good news.
Right, that's very good news.
Yes,
so then I need to work out
So then
a
you need to
supplementary.
work out a supplementary, yes.
I want to ask a question, but if I say in the question,
Also without an office, OONA King prefers to work at home rather than in a Westminster corridor.
It's maiden speech day, possibly. It all depends if Madam Speaker has her eye on me or not. I'm writing the speech. I'm trying to stick to the formula and be good, which is not to say anything controversial, and to applaud your predecessor no matter what they did. And what else do you have to do? I suppose say something on the debate in which you're speaking, which in my case is education. And then just say what a fantastic constituency you represent, which in my case is very easy because it is indeed the most fantastic constituency in Britain. And that's about it. Of a racist state. I myself am multi-ethnic, although I have also been called terms, and I hope it is not unparliamentary to say it, such as yid, nigger, wog, half-caste and mongrel. In fact, it is indeed unparliamentary language to say that. But I do hope that my background can be a bridge of two cultures. And that essentially is why I love the East End. It is indeed Britain's answer to Manhattan's melting pot. The East End today remains a remarkable place, only a stone's throw from Westminster. I might be slightly biased, but it is without a doubt the jewel in this country's urban inner city crown. And don't laugh, because we do actually have the crown jewels in the Tower of London.
The whole thing really is like a scene from a sort of soap opera. It is. It's got that sense to it. It's got the characters, it's got the little warrens, it's got the places where you talk, the people who you talk to, and the people watching who you're talking to, and the people who are watching. There really are eyes everywhere in this place, and most of the people who are doing the watching are the media. The members' lobby is a strange place, actually. We'll get to about 1:30 on a normal working day, and then it becomes what I call the piranha pit. And when I talk about the piranhas, what I'm really talking about is the gentlemen from the national press, the national lobbyists, and they circle around here looking terribly smart, awfully well dressed, awfully serious, every now and again lifting their heads up and piercing one of us with a glare, at which point you either do a stalk and ignore them, or if you're feeling particularly vulnerable, you scuttle off in the opposite direction, but that's a very bad mistake.
Those smartly dressed gentlemen of the press soon latched onto Helen when her marriage broke up, very publicly.
If I had still been a teacher, or, I don't know, a social worker or a lawyer, and my marriage had broken up, and it had been nasty and acrimonious, as it has been, very nasty and very acrimonious, well, then I'd have known about it, and various other people in the family, and it would have been a huge personal tragedy there. It wouldn't have been any different of a personal tragedy, but it wouldn't have got into the papers. But there and again, I did actually choose and select, of my own volition, to go into public life. And it's all very well, because actually, you know, I think as politicians we can be so hypocritical about this. On the one hand, we're desperate for the newspapers to cover us. You know, we're launching a campaign, we're having what we call a good news story, you know, at which we're right at the centre, you know, star of our own show. And we're desperate for them to cover us then. And if they don't, then we're often very nasty and abusive. On the other hand, they're covering us on something else, and we're saying they should be locked up. Well, I think that's inconsistency. It's a hard attitude to have to stick with, but I am consistent on it, and I intend to remain so.
No sex scandals for Theresa May, but she is having to make a choice between men. The Tories need a new leader. The usual suspects set about wooing the media and their backbench colleagues.
I I'm John Redwood, running for the leadership of the Conservative Party.
On the night before the poll itself, we had a chance to go around to various parties, which I did. I actually went round to all 5 of them and didn't finally decide who I was going to vote for until after. It was quite interesting. We started off with tea with John Redwood, and then we moved on to sort of drinks with, I think I then went to Peter Lilly's for drinks, and then William Hague's for drinks, and then on to Ken Clarke. Ended up at Ken Clarke's party.
The results of the first ballot for the leader of the Conservative Party are as follows. Kenneth Clarke, 49. William Hague, 41. Michael Howard...
Now is the eve of poll for the second round of the ballot, what's happening is obviously a lot of people are trying to get me to say who I'm actually voting for. And although I've decided who I'm voting for, I haven't actually declared, despite what some of the newspapers have been doing. They've been allocating me to different camps, which is a little bit frustrating, because you'd never know quite whether they've just guessed at that or whether somebody's been trying to push you one way or another by putting it in the press.
Did Theresa back the winner? She's still not saying. From the government's point of view, the most important quality in a backbencher is loyalty. But loyalty can't always be taken for granted. It's the job of the whips to quell dissent and keep their troops in line. But that was never going to be a problem with the ultra-loyal Helen Brinton.
I think the name is actually, interesting. Whip, and you sort of imagine, whip and all this disciplinary stuff, But actually, I use the sort of idea of sort of parental thing. And I've actually experienced that because I was the subject of a few facetious articles in a national newspaper, and actually, waking up feeling sick in the stomach and all this sort of thing. And I thought, what do I do? So I actually went and cried all over them, and they actually were really sympathetic and very helpful. I think all this rot that you actually got about the previous Tory administration, the whips sort of going and beating people up in the loos and things, I think we've moved on from there. Oh, wow, Kevin, I hope we have.
Because there is another part which is called the disciplinary role that you play. I mean, there is presumably a disciplinary role to the whip.
There certainly is, and hopefully we don't have to use it too often. Most people find us, I like to think so anyway, and I like to think we are helpful. But when needs be, then we've got to instill some discipline, because our main function is to ensure that the government's legislation gets through this House. That is our main function.
For the first few months of Blair's government, there is harmony between the whips and the backbenchers. But in December, things go sour when the party leadership decides to cut the benefits paid to lone parents. Many Labour MPs are unhappy about hitting the pockets of the poor, but Helen remains loyal.
Would the honourable gentleman agree with me that by being in work, lone parents are on average per week £50 per week better off?
While Helen speaks in favour of the benefit cuts, the opposition accuses the new government of hypocrisy.
The Labour Party will be dragged through the lobbies to vote for a measure that before the election they called shameful, they called malign, they called completely wrong. Isn't it another example of government without principles and without values?
It isn't just the opposition who are against Tony Blair. Some of his own backbenchers refuse to support the government. It becomes a question of party loyalty versus personal principle.
Get off benefit and into work.
That's why politicians have such a bad reputation, because to be a politician, you have to say, these are my objectives. In this country, we do it through the party system. Therefore, I'm a member of the party. I support the party line because, in the long term, it addresses my particular objectives. Any politician in any party will, at various points, have to toe the party line when they don't agree with it. And I'm one of them. Every MP at Parliament is in that position.
OONA is lucky. A pre-arranged trip abroad means she won't have to choose between her constituents and the party line. 47 other Labour MPs ignore the whips and either abstain or vote against the government.
I couldn't support the vote. Now, that's very difficult because I do believe in party discipline, and I do believe in we have to be together to put our programme forward. But I couldn't go through the lobby. I just couldn't do that.
Order! Order!
I'm not a rebel. I'm not a rebel by nature. I am a team player. I am one that has made up my mind, and once I'm committed that that's the right course, I'm part of this, I will take responsibility for it. But I had grave concerns about what the Labour government was doing, about taking benefit away from what I consider to be the most vulnerable, that's the children of lone parents. And the fact that we were saying things about parenting, that it's okay for the middle classes who can afford one way or another for one of the parents to stay at home with the very young children and do parenting. But the poor, oh no, they've got to go out to work. They can't stay with their own children when they're under 5. You know, they should be going and getting a job. And I'd have a hard time looking them in the face and saying, you know, it's okay for me. I've got a job. I'm okay. But I'm actually going to make it so that you would be up to 11 quid a week worse off, and that 11 quid is the difference between an anorak for your kids in the winter or shoes or whatever. I couldn't do that. I couldn't. It is very emotional. So I found yesterday very difficult.
I voted with the government, yeah. Couple of reasons for that, really. Firstly, yeah, OK, as a candidate, as we were all candidates, and actually, you know, it's going to make me very, very angry indeed if people in the constituencies, you know, activists in the constituencies start kicking up about this particular benefit, because they knew what this Labour government was going to be like. Now, let's face it, nobody wants to take money off people, of course they don't. But the fact is, we'd made it quite plain, whether right or wrong, and that is for history to judge, or the electorate in 5 years' time, or whatever, that we were going to stick within the previous government's spending limits for 2 years. Now, perhaps a lot of us did think that would be a bit tight, but we did campaign on that.
Who'd want to be a member of Parliament? The hours are terrible and nobody likes you. As a backbencher, you've got no real power but dozens of constituents' letters to answer every day. Still, the greasy pole is there to be climbed for those with a head for heights. OONA King has been to Downing Street for dinner. Diana Organ now chairs the Departmental Committee for Culture, Media and Sport. Theresa May is talked of as a rising star of the Conservative Party. And Helen Brinton, dubbed by the press as Mandelson's cyborg, is learning to come to terms with her newfound notoriety.
In terms of the other stuff, you know, the sort of cyborg mentality and android and Tony clone and Tony's most loyal MP and sycophantic and fawning and, you know, I'm sure I can, you know, being an ex-English teacher, I'm sure I can make a few other cliches up. That is just because the media fixates. They fixate on you. And they're like baby birds. I regard them as baby birds with their mouths open, you know. And basically somebody has a tidbit and then they go cheep, 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 and they all sort of regurgitate it and, you know, they want to play it out. And so it's like catchphrases. But one said to me the other day, oh, hello, Helen. He said, we all love you, really. I said, no, you don't. You're going to have to live with me, darling.
I enjoy it enormously. It's very challenging, it's fascinating and quite chaotic, but it is extremely enjoyable, and I'm very pleased that I've done it. And one of the people who'd helped in my election campaign asked me that question after about sort of 3 months or so and said, you know, are you enjoying it? And I said, well, yes, I am. And she said, well, that's a jolly good job after all the effort we put in to get you there.
I don't see myself going up the ladder at any point in the near future. I'm very wary of saying anything on camera because I always remember that thing that Margaret Thatcher had played back to her, I don't expect a woman Prime Minister in my lifetime, you know, that sort of thing. But I certainly don't. I was saying that, you know, the usual route to promotion is through the whip's office, and I don't think I'm temperamentally suited.
There is more in my life, I suppose. The people that are close to you, they're always there. And if you should push them out too much because of the amount of time you have to spend doing the job and doing the work, then there's not much to you. So I think it's important for me to hang on to family and friends, because that's me. That's going to be with me till I die. This job won't be. And I think I do this job for the Forest of Dean darn sight better than the Tory did before. I work harder probably than he does. But am I happy at it? I don't know. Ask me in a year.
That was the last episode in this series. Next week on 4, the return of Jazz Heroes at 7:30 and the new series Clear My Name. Find out more at the end of this programme.
In 1995, the Maria Assumpta was wrecked. 3 of her crew drowned. Her skipper was convicted of manslaughter, but claims he is innocent. Could your evidence clear his name? From the team that brought you Trial and Error, Clear My Name, live next Sunday at 8 on 4.
Infectious comedian Arthur Smith sheds blood, sweat and Melton euphoniums with Silksworth top brass, the Vo Samson Band, in a light-hearted documentary next.
Don't change your battery. Change your camcorder.
First, I found a performance engine. Then, the small, economical one. Imagine combining their benefits. 38 miles per gallon around town, and yet for safer overtaking 167 brake horsepower. What have I created? It's an economical monster.
Pacific VTech. Technology you can enjoy from Honda.
There's 53 Rosalie Avenue, Daventry, Hilltop, Hillrise, Mill Green, Aberdeen, Dunromin, Home Sweet Home in Broadstairs, Smallstairs, Fletchers in Aberdare, Treetop, Seaview, Shaynoo, 22 Mews in Catford, Bungalows in Walthamstow.
Do you have a nice view? Lettsby Avenue, number 8, Harrogate, Patio Garden Gate, Thatch near Hatch End, Cul-de-sac and Crouch End, Timber Frame, Window Frame,
Dunromin again,
2 up,
2 down,
anywhere, anytown, semis in suburbia, couldn't be superbia. Front door, back door, black door, greenhouse, new house, happy home in High Street, My Street,
another Dunromin.
Whoever you are, whenever you want to buy a home, it pays to decide nationwide.
Every time you start your car from cold, it takes a while for your engine to get full protection from its oil. Metal grinds against metal. The damage is permanent. Castrol GTX Magnatech works differently. Unique polarized molecules cling like a magnet, dramatically reducing engine wear. For protection from the moment you turn the key, Ask your garage for Castrol GTX Magnatech.
Athlete's foot can be hard to shake off. That's because there can be 2 bugs to deal with. Unlike most treatments, Dactarin gets both, giving athlete's foot a blast! Dual-acting Dactarin.
Brassed off, but the band played on.
Who's the addict?
Cheers. Rodrigo's Concerto, Orange Juice.
Tara Fitzgerald and Ewan McGregor.
Poor lad. Still got your mind on that pit.
Stephen Tompkinson, Jim Carter and Pete Postlethwaite star in the Film on 4 premiere of Brassed Off tonight at 9.
That's in half an hour after Up the Brass with Arthur Smith.
I'll tell you what I know about brass bands. Nothing. Sweet euphonium. But join me now, because I'm off on a strange and brassy adventure. Actually, I do know 2 things about brass bands. 1, they've been around a lot longer than the Spice Girls. 2, you don't see them on top of the pops. Well, not since the floral dance. Brass bands, old men in moustaches polishing their tubas, boring Sunday afternoons in the park when you're a kid. How wrong could I be? My road to Damascus led north to South Sunderland, where I spent a few days with a band from the ex-mining town of Silksworth. One feature of this particular band that has attracted me is the location of their rehearsal room. My arrival was perfectly timed to coincide with a major contest just days away on which the band has staked their future.
1, 2, 3, 1, 2. That's better. That's moving together, isn't it? Da, 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 da. It's not a march, it's a hymn. So in a cantabile style, singing.
Bob the conductor will have to push the lads and nowadays lassies to their limits to get a good result.
Come on, do think.
As the big day approaches, the pressure builds on this small, close-knit community of friends, family, and sometimes lovers. 12 steps beneath the rehearsal room with several pints in hand, I started some gentle probing. How do you find Bob as a band leader then?
Oh, do you want to tell you the truth? It's canny crack. He's a funk machine, this guy.
A funk machine? What do you think about being called a funk machine then, Bob?
I think they misspelt it.
You have to give as good as you get as a woman here, I suppose, don't
Yes,
you?
you do, right?
They're quite hard on you.
You have to have more balls than the men have.
How do you find that then, Kim, being an attractive woman amongst a load of ugly men who give you a hard time?
You've just got to put them down all the time.
Yeah?
Yeah.
You don't get tired of it?
Never.
When did you start doing it then, Kim? That's a good thing, though, isn't it? Don't you think, Bob, to have women in the band, you know?
No, they're fine. You know, they're as good as the blokes. They have a contribution to make. You know why they've got small feet, don't you? So they get close to the sink.
Let's leave the stand-up comedy for the moment. It's the sound of brass band is very different from any other music, isn't it? But you do love brass band music, presumably.
Yes. It's bad when you pull up at traffic lights.
Aye.
And your car stereo's bouncing out like brass band, and you get all these teenagers standing on. Listen to that shite, you know.
Leading up to the contest, the band will rehearse every evening. By day, they're obliged to work. Bob doesn't just boss the band, he teaches driving instructors. So I suppose he's a driving instructor. So you're now pretending to be a driver of some sort?
To be a learner driver, yeah.
So, Bob, you drive, you do the driving, working all day, and then you pretty well most nights, one way or another, you seem to be involved in banding.
it just takes over your life, banding. You know, it isn't a hobby. It's more than a hobby.
It's an obsession, mate.
Well, yeah, it is. It is. You know, you're sort of on a mission, really.
Has there ever been anyone who has to go to bandaholics to try and wean themselves off of full-time just being obsessed by banding?
No, I don't think so. It is because, you see, the problem is, people like me, we're so sad we don't realise that we're bloody obsessed with it. So you don't think there's a problem until somebody sort of points it out to you.
Do you know, I've got a bit of a history of, you know, when I was years ago, I won Young Musician of the Year.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he was a nice little lad. I used to keep him up in the attic playing the euphonium. That was me joke, by the way. Yeah, polite laughter. See, that one nearly brought me breakfast up.
If you're not working, then you're practicing. Robbie is the principal cornet player, engaged to another band member, Julie. His job as a decorator for the council is under threat.
Must be a bit worrying, is it?
It is. It is, right. It's but there is a redundancy package on at the minute at work, and it's probably going to be like last in, first out. But since I've only been there a couple of years, it's I'll be out. I'll probably be made redundant, but never mind. I'll get a job somewhere.
Fortunately for Robbie, he doesn't have to buy his own instrument since the band got a grant from the lottery. It's a good job, as the bigger ones cost as much as a small family hatchback. Confronted by these large, shiny things, I was ginger but eager.
Well, I'm about to fiddle with a euphonium. Which, a euphonium already sounds like something in some kind of carry-on. Oh, euphonium, man? No, I'm phoning them. Or something. Oh, God, what a terrible joke. My jokes have been going down very poorly here.
There you go. There's euphonium, a Melton euphonium.
Let me just have a feel of it. Sturdy thing. What's your instrument?
A soprano cornet. Basically, if you make a wrong sound...
Look, you look pathetic compared to me. You're a little one.
If you make a wrong sound with this, then everybody hears it. But if you make a wrong sound with one of those, or press a wrong valve or something, you can be disguised.
Can you give me an example of a good sound and then a bad sound on that?
I'll do a simple scale.
All right. That's nice.
OK.
And now hit a really bum note. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
So it's easy to put the bum ones on this one.
Yeah, hit a nasty one in the middle there.
Put this one.
OK, Tim, I want you to help me get a noise out of it.
This is what you'll need to start yourself off. But basically,
I want to practice with that first.
Basically, you've got to produce this type of sound. Type of thing. Yeah, now if you... That's it.
My secret ambition was to master the Match of the Day tune. Can you spot it?
Well, that's lower. Oh, that's not too bad, is it? I've got a noise out of it anyway.
Very good. You mastered it, actually.
Well, I think mastered it is something of a...
They may be at home hoovering. They may be out delivering babies. They may be driving forklift trucks. But whatever they're doing, their minds are on the big day. Rehearse, rehearse, rehearse. Don't you ever sometimes long to, you know, just to have a couple of nights off and sit and watch the telly or just go down the pub? Or...
Yeah. Sometimes. I don't have a social, I don't have a sex life at the moment, no time. Terrible, really.
Because you were married.
I was, yeah.
And what happened there then?
We got divorced.
Yeah.
That's it, really.
And was your banding anything to do with it?
Oh, I don't know, you'd have to ask her that, really. I don't know, but perhaps it was an issue.
So is it possible to, if you're in the band, to go out with someone else who isn't anything to do with the band?
It is, but I would say it's hard, especially if the partner has nothing to do with it, doesn't like to come and listen to us, and I would say generally it splits people up, because if you're not part of the band, you don't know what goes on.
Eat, sleep and drink, band.
And you all get very close, because you play together and you work together, and of course you end up sleeping together in your case.
It's all the band, it's just our best mates. You get to know, because everybody's playing with that much feeling most of the time, you get to know the ins and outs of everybody, the weak points, the people cry, people get upset, you get everything. It's just one big family.
That's better. Can you feel it's better? It runs a little better. So it has to be jolly. It has to say, I'm having a good time. Not goodness, the world's falling out my bottom. 1, 2, 3, 4, the 5th bar.
He's good, though, is he, Bob?
Oh,
I mean,
He's excellent. He can get in the music. Some conductors will just say, there's the notes, we'll play the notes, that's it, play the role. Bob actually gets music out of the music. So I can tell you tomorrow, when we go into the contest, there'll be bands who'll play a note perfect, or nail note perfect it's going to be, but they'll get placed down in their order because they just haven't made music of it.
Yeah, what, less feeling, you mean?
Exactly, you hit the nail on the head.
Right, now this is supposed to paint a picture. And there's no style in the thing. It should be more musical. All music has shape, and this doesn't. It says to me, Christ, I'm crapping myself because it's the contest tomorrow. So can we stop doing that? Can we just put our gut behind it and just play it?
Are you nervous about tomorrow?
Not nervous, no. I don't get nervous when I conduct. You get very tense, because, you know, it's all or nothing.
What do you mean it's all or nothing?
Well, first or second, or nothing at all.
You've got to be first or second.
If you're not in the first two, then you may as well be last, because you're not going to the finals. And that's the big thing. And I mean,
So what happens if you come third?
Oh, that's about as bad as it could be, really. You know, nearly there, but not quite. I'd be devastated to be third. I'll be parting company with the band if we are. And I've said to them, I've given them my best shot for this one. If this doesn't work, then it's time for somebody else to have a go.
That's hurting me ears. That's raucous and wild. The problem that I have at the minute is that we're not getting it consistently. So that's down to you guys. You know, we're not just some bum outfit from Sunderland.
Oh, Bob seemed a bit wound up to me.
He was a bit.
Tonight it really frightened people more than making them work hard.
Do you think he was a bit over the top then?
Bit harsh, aye.
Crap playing, and I won't tolerate it. I will not fight you. Play the bell, please. 1, 2. One.
Robbie's more worried than most about the contest. He has a tricky solo.
We've got a pencil. Shall I write it down?
Will that be the most nerve-wracking moment for you?
Aye, the whole piece, aye. And it's
There's
like
one particular note you want to hit.
It's an octave above this one. One note, I can't say it. I am a bit nervous about that 2 bars tomorrow.
That one note. It's all down to that one note could be.
To think I've been practicing for 2-3 months and it might just come down to one note.
What would you do if you come first or second tomorrow?
Ecstatic.
I think I'd develop wings and I'd fly.
Yeah,
You'll have to peel me off the ceiling if we get placed first or second. Second will do.
It'll be the first major competition that we've come in any position.
Not winning is not an option. The way you're playing at the minute, you know, you ain't going to make it.
If you came last, would you actually take your own life?
No, I may take somebody else's.
Well, provided it's not mine. The big day is just hours away.
Haven't you finished that yet? You're going to be late. You should have finished that homework last night. Come on, guys, hurry up. I'm going to be late. That's it.
This competition. Spill it all over you. Is this your girlfriend? Nice.
Exceedingly.
A lot cooler than gingerbread men. New fruit pie bars from Mr. Kipling. He does make exceedingly good cakes.
If you keep getting engaged all the time, BT Ringback keeps trying an engaged number and rings you back when it's free. Just press 5.
Ring back? I never give the ring back, darling.
When I tell people I'm part of the World Land Speed Crew, they get pretty excited. They ask, like, are you the driver? Are you the designer? Are you the owner? I say, no, I'm the safety guy. I pick up the parachute after the run. They look a little disappointed and go, oh, that's pretty, great. And I say, nope, but the drive home is.
A home without colour is a home without life. If something inspires you, be inspired. You can paint with paint, or you can paint with light.
Whatever look you're looking for, Homebase can help you find it. We have 250 trained paint mixers and a quality guarantee on every Homebase product, or your money back.
Always show your true colours, even if they're not everyone's cup of tea.
There's no place like Homebase.
Next. Thank you. Next. Thank you. Next. Next.
May I?
Welcome to the Swiss Air team. Next.
Don't change your battery. Change your camcorder.
It's contest day, and it feels like the World Cup. Last-minute rituals. So how are you, Julie?
I'm feeling fine at the minute. Before I go on stage and as I sit down, I'll get nervous. A couple of little solos to play today. These have all been run to the loo this morning already, with their nerves.
So who's the worst for nerves then?
Me.
Robert.
Oh, Julie. I get terrible diarrhea. It's terrible. I woke up about 6 o'clock and I run down the stairs, run to there, and I've just managed to sit down. I'm not cleaning the toilet though.
Yeah, I don't think we need to go into it any more than that, to be honest. I think we've covered that area, Robbie, as indeed did you, obviously. The top prize of £200 is not enough to cover the band's expenses. That's really not the point. It's like football. There are different divisions, and Bob and the band are desperate for promotion. To find out how the winning bands are chosen, I met the Mr. Big of the contesting world, Alan Hope, who took me to the Championship Nerve Centre. So this is the crucial judges' box, the inner sanctum.
It is.
He sits in here?
He sits in here.
Well, he hasn't even got a chair yet. Well, I suppose
or
he
a
will.
table.
So he sits here with a
Indeed.
chair and a table.
Yeah, and a light.
And so he can't see...
So he can't see through the box and see which band's actually playing at the time.
What's this bucket?
Well, that's in case the call of nature is too great, from when he goes into the box to when he comes out.
Yeah, but how could he do... He couldn't do that during one of the performances. And during... They'd hear him, wouldn't they?
Well, we'll have sand in the bucket, so that takes that out. It takes care of that.
Oh, I see. So he sits in this little kind of coffin.
Yes.
At a table.
Yes.
Listens to the same piece.
Yes.
Today, 11 times.
That's right. Yes.
And what sort of marks would he make? Or?
He will make remarks on the music as he hears it, the good points, the bad points, and at the end of it, he'll give an assessment, a mathematical assessment out of 200 points.
How long do they spend in here then?
3.5 hours. Other occasions there may well be 20 bands in, and you might be in for 8 or 9 hours.
Do people come in to and see him, bring him a sandwich or something?
Yes, they'll pass light refreshments in to him.
But they wouldn't actually come in?
They wouldn't come in, no. No.
But there's nothing really to stop him having a kip or reading the paper, really.
There isn't, but I do think he'd be found out at the end. It wouldn't do his reputation any good, let's put it like that.
60 bands from all over the northeast arrive to do battle. Behind the jovial banter lurks fierce rivalry. By this stage, somehow, even I was feeling nervous. I wonder how Rob is doing.
Hey, the toilet, like.
Again?
Desperate for the toilet. Where's the toilets?
Here comes the judge. This man's decision might yet reduce even the hardest band member to tears. Once comfortably seated within range of the bucket, the judge signals for battle to commence. Backstage, Bob is hoping the band don't have a repeat of last year's contest, when they did so badly they were relegated. Several bands have blown their all, and now it's time for number 8.
Right. Shh. Come on. Can we be quiet? Let's concentrate. It's time to go and time to do the business. In order for you to do that, you're going to have to go on there and absolutely concentrate 100%. Nothing else will do. Challenge for the band, challenge for each and every one of you personally. Make sure you rise to it. No heroics, nothing overdone, steady performance, and it's there to be taken. Let's just concentrate and do what we do, because it's good enough. Let's make sure we do. Let's go stick it up. Come on.
It's a long wooden walk to the stage, and it's a long piece they have to play. 13 minutes of music contains a lot of potential bum notes. So far, so good. But here comes Robbie's big note. Sounds great to me, but what do I know? By now, I'd got into the swing of things and didn't need to hear any more. Well, to be honest, I didn't want to. What I did want to do was go away and worry. I'll leave the other bands to it. Do you know the first banding contests in the 1880s always ended up in drunken brawls? Now, Bob and the band's future hangs in the balance.
Band placed third in order of merit, winners of a cheque for £75, with 180 points, was the band drawn number 7, Gunning and Silver.
Not third, then.
The band placed second in order of merit, winners of a cheque for £100 and an invitation to appear in the national finals at Harrogate with 181 points, was the band drawn number 8. The boy.
So, Bob and the band are off to the national finals, and to top that, they've been promoted up a section. Well, I'm blowed.
Okay, ready. Green extra red. 1, 2, 3.
And the band plays on in a film on 4 premiere next, starring Pete Postlethwaite, Ewan McGregor and Tara Fitzgerald, who breathes new life into a struggling colliery band. 4's Brassed Off next.
Listen, I've got to go, but, you know, I'm going to miss you. You can come back to London and stay at my house, and I just rub Brasso on you every day.